Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is a large and hairy human-like mythical creature said to inhabit forests in North America, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. Bigfoot is featured in both American and Canadian folklore, and since the mid-20th century has grown into a cultural icon, permeating popular culture and becoming the subject of its own distinct subculture. Enthusiasts of Bigfoot, such as those within the pseudoscience of cryptozoology, have offered various forms of dubious evidence to prove Bigfoot's existence, including anecdotal claims of sightings as well as alleged photographs, video and audio recordings, hair samples, and casts of large footprints. However, the scientific consensus is that Bigfoot and alleged evidence is a combination of folklore, misidentification, and hoax rather than a living animal. Folklorists trace the phenomenon of Bigfoot to a combination of factors and sources, including the European wild man figure, folk tales, and indigenous cultures. Examples of similar folk tales of wild, hair-covered humanoids exist throughout the world, such as the skunk ape of the southeastern United States, the almas, yeren, and yeti in Asia, the Australian yowie, and creatures in the mythologies of indigenous people. Wishful thinking, a cultural increase in environmental concerns, and overall societal awareness of the subject have been cited as additional factors. Bigfoot is often described as a large, muscular, and bipedal human or ape-like creature covered in black, dark brown, or dark reddish hair. Anecdotal descriptions estimate a height of roughly 6 to 9 feet, with some descriptions having the creature standing as tall as 10 to 15 feet. Some alleged observations describe Bigfoot as more human than ape, particularly in regard to the face. In 1971, multiple people in the Dallas, Oregon, filed a police report describing an overgrown ape, and one of the men claimed to have sighted the creature in the scope of his rifle, but could not bring himself to shoot it because it looked more human than animal. Common descriptions include broad shoulders, no visible neck, and long arms, which many skeptics attribute to misidentification of a bear standing upright. Some alleged nighttime sightings have stated the creature's eyes glowed yellow or red. However, eyeshine is not present in humans or any other known great apes, and so proposed explanations for observable eyeshine off of the ground in the forest include owls, raccoons, or opossums perched in foliage. Michael Rugg, the owner of the Bigfoot Discovery Museum, claims to have smelled Bigfoot, stating, "Imagine a skunk that had rolled around in dead animals and had hung around the garbage pits." The enormous footprints for which the creature is named are claimed to be as large as 24 inches long and 8 inches wide. Some footprint casts have also contained claw marks, making it likely that they came from known animals, such as bears, which have 5 toes and claws. Folklore and early records. Ecologist Robert Pyle argues that most cultures have accounts of human-like giants in their folk history, expressing a need for some larger-than-life creature. Each language had its name for the creature featured in the local version of such legends. Many names mean something like wild man or hairy man, although other names described common actions that it was said to perform, such as eating clams or shaking trees. European folklore traditionally had many instances of the wild man of the woods or wild people, often described as a naked creature covered in hair, with only the face, feet, and hands, and in some cases the knees, elbows, or breasts, remaining bare. These European wild people ranged from human hermits to human-like monsters. Upon migrating to North America, myths of the wild people persisted, with documented sightings of wild people reported in what is now New York State and Pennsylvania. In a 2007 paper titled "Images of the Wild Man Inside and Outside Europe," it stated, "To be sure, the modern Sasquatch is largely the product of a European-derived culture, as possibly to an even greater extent is the Australian Yahoo. Accordingly, traces of the European wild man are discernible in both figures. Yet, the Sasquatch is partly rooted in Amerindian representations of hairy hominoids, even though the relationship between these, which are often described as small, and the giant Sasquatch of the popular Canadian and American imagination is hardly straightforward," said Gregory Forth. Many of the indigenous cultures across the North American continent include tales of mysterious, hair-covered creatures living in forests, and according to anthropologist David Daegling, these legends existed long before contemporary reports of the creature described as Bigfoot. These stories differed in their details regionally and between families in the same community, and are particularly prevalent in the Pacific Northwest. Chief Michel of the Nlaka'pamux at Lytton, British Columbia, told such a story to Charles Hill Toot in 1898. Washington, Mullins, and a group of other foresters carved pairs of large feet made of wood and used them to create footprints in the mud to scare huckleberry pickers in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. The group would also claim to be responsible for hoaxing the alleged Ape Canyon incident in 1924. Mullins and the group of foresters began referring to themselves as the St. Helens Apes and would later have a cave dedicated to them. Wallace, also from Toledo, knew Mullins and stated he collaborated with him to obtain a pair of the large wooden feet and subsequently used them to create footprints on the 1958 construction site as a means to scare away potential thieves. Other historical uses of Bigfoot. In the 1830s, a Wyandot chief was nicknamed Bigfoot due to his significant size, strength, and large feet. Potawatomi chief Mamksuk, known as Chief Bigfoot, is today synonymous with the area of Walworth County, Wisconsin, and has a state park and school named for him. William A. Wallace, a famous 19th century Texas Ranger, was nicknamed Bigfoot due to his large feet, and today has a town named for him, Bigfoot, Texas. Lakota leader Spotted Elk was also called Chief Bigfoot. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, at least two enormous marauding grizzly bears were widely noted in the press, and each nicknamed Bigfoot. The first grizzly bear called Bigfoot was reportedly killed near Fresno, California in 1895 after killing sheep for 15 years. His weight was estimated at 2,000 pounds. The second one was active in Idaho in the 1890s and 1900s between the Snake and Salmon rivers, and supernatural powers were attributed to it. Many regions throughout North America have differentiating names for Bigfoot. In Canada, the name Sasquatch is widely used in addition to Bigfoot. The United States uses both of these names but also has numerous names and descriptions of the creatures, depending on the region and area in which they are allegedly sighted. These include the skunk ape in Florida and other southern states, grassman in Ohio, Fook monster in Arkansas, wood booger in Virginia, the monster of Whitehall in Whitehall, New York, Momo in Missouri, Honey Island swamp monster in Louisiana, Dewey Lake monster in Michigan, Mogollon monster in Arizona, the Big Muddy monster in southern Illinois, and the Old Men of the Mountain in West Virginia. The term wood ape is also used by some as a means to deviate from the perceived mythical connotation surrounding the name Bigfoot. Other names include bushman, treeman, and wildman. On October 20th, 1967, Bigfoot enthusiast Roger Patterson and his partner Robert Bob Gimlin were filming a Bigfoot docudrama in an area called Bluff Creek in Northern California. The pair claimed they came upon a Bigfoot and filmed the encounter. The 59.5-second-long video, dubbed the Patterson-Gimlin film, or PGF, has become iconic in popular culture and Bigfoot-related history and lore. The PGF continues to be a highly scrutinized, analyzed, and debated subject. Academic experts from related fields have typically judged the film as providing no supportive data of any scientific value, with perhaps the most common proposed explanation being that it was a hoax.